So, electric cars in the world. Presentation by me, Slavlin, about electric cars and what they are good for, how they're good for the environment, and also going to be covering both benefits and detriments of using electric cars and creating electric cars, because I feel that is a topic that is skipped over a lot of times. So, electric cars, or EVs, what are they? Electric cars are motor vehicles that, they're a car, but instead of using your standard gasoline or diesel fuel, they run on batteries, and the electricity from those batteries is what powers the engine. So the car itself is a all electric vehicle that has limited emissions when it is in use. So benefits of operating electric cars, as I already mentioned, you have very limited emissions when you are driving an electric car around, a lot less than driving a fuel-based car around, because you are not burning the fuel to generate your energy in order for the car to move. With maintenance, there's less moving parts, so cheaper and less frequent maintenance for the operation of your EV. There's less noise, because once again, you're not using a combustion engine, you're using a electrical powered engine, and that is quieter in general, so the car doesn't make as much noise, which also leads to less noise pollution. Resilience in situations where there are fuel crises or fuel shortage. Yeah, we may run out of gasoline or diesel, but it's much less likely to have a problem with electrical power. And cost, the actual operating cost for EV batteries has dropped some 87% over the last decade. And that really reduces the cost of purchasing one of these vehicles. So your initial investment is a lot cheaper than it used to be. However, not everything is good for operating electric cars. Once again, even though that the cost of EV batteries has dropped over the last decade, it is still more expensive to purchase an EV car than it is to purchase a combustion car or your gasoline powered vehicle. The batteries themselves are big, bulky, makes your cars heavier, and you got to replace those batteries. Beyond that, the batteries themselves are built with materials that are damaging to the environment, and you have to properly dispose of those, or you could risk hurting the environment even more. The range of electrical cars are not as large as a gasoline powered vehicle before you have to stop and recharge the vehicle, whereas you can get more distance out of a gasoline powered or diesel powered vehicle before you have to stop and refuel. And one of the biggest ones here is your electricity to power your vehicle. Not all of that electricity is based off of renewable energy resources. So while you may be driving a car that produces less pollution, the electricity that you are using to power it may still have been made from a coal power plant or some other similar power producing structure that causes a lot of pollution. There's also some detriments into building electrical cars. Batteries are the big one here for detriments, both usage and construction. Batteries are expensive. They are a lot of different chemical related substances in the creation of batteries, especially rechargeable batteries, that are damaging to the environment. And they're expensive, especially the lithium ion batteries that are used in electrical vehicles. You're still, it's about $100, over $100 per kilowatt hour that combustion engines have, because electrical batteries, you're looking at $156 per kilowatt hour for the creation of these vehicles. As the battery technology is improving, so that price is slowly closing the gap to be more on level with combustion engines. So you can see that detriment of the cost of batteries to be shrinking within the next couple of years and further into the future. And at least for a Tesla vehicle, it generates 65% more emissions than a RAV4 during construction, due in large part to those batteries. Now, final notes, and electric car usage is great when the car is being used to its fullest extent. If you don't use a car to the maximum potential it has, 10 years, and put a lot of mileage in it, if you're using it every day to go to and from work, as you would with a car, because it's a big investment, I would hope. If you don't do that with your electrical vehicle, then you run the risk of it being more damaging to the environment than if you had just bought a combustion engine car and didn't use it. Because the carbon footprint of construction for electrical vehicles is a lot larger than the carbon footprint for combustion vehicles. The big thing with usage, though, is that the more you use the cars, the less the carbon footprint of the electrical car grows very slowly, while the carbon footprint of the combustion car grows very quickly in comparison. So if you use both of these cars to the fullest extent, your combustion car is going to use a lot more and produce a lot more carbon footprint than the electrical vehicle. Again, with cost comparison here, electrical vehicles are expensive right now. Not as much as they used to be, and that price is going down. And there are other options for these as well. You can get mixed cars where they are part electrical vehicle and part combustion vehicle, and they run on a combination of the two to produce less of a carbon footprint, but not nearly as little as an electric vehicle. And the usage of these vehicles, and we can prevent having such a large carbon footprint and reduce the CO2 output levels with electrical vehicles. But we should not be pushing everybody over to electric vehicles all at once. That will cause a large drain on our energy production, and it would cause different problems than the ones we currently have. Ones that are easier to solve, yes, but there are better ways of doing it. We can switch everybody over to primarily EV and hybrid cars, still no gasoline-based vehicles, while continuously working for new solutions such as reducing the carbon footprint of the EV cars and getting better fuel to produce less pollution from the engines. And doing that all at once would be much better for our carbon footprint as a country and over the entire world than just trying to say everybody go to electric cars all at once. Now, that's all I've got for today. I've got these sources here, which are some good places where I found my research information, especially this last link here, the graphics one, and I will post these into Wombat Wednesday Trivia channel for you to pursue it your own. That last link down there has a great infographic that you can scroll through that shows exactly how using electric cars would be so good for the environment and the comparisons between the carbon footprints. In conclusion, we should be using electrical and mixed hybrid vehicles because they are just so much better for our environment than using gasoline vehicles. And as the price of those goes down, more people will start to adopt these. Thank you all for coming today. I hope you enjoyed the presentation about electric cars. And I shall see you all next Wednesday.